In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Welcome to the world of physics. Due to coronavirus, we have to continue our online class. I'd like to suggest you stay home, stay safe. Let me introduce. I am Mahmoud Muqtadir Hossain Bhuya, lecturer, Department of Physics. Observe following diagram. And observe following diagram too. What you have observed. Now, name of the chapter is Newtonian Mechanics. And previously, we have learned about fundamental force, Newton laws of motion, uses of Newton laws of motion, relation between Newton laws of motion, and limitation of Newton's laws of motion. And today we are going to learn about the topics rotational motion, moment of inertia, radius of gyration, angular momentum, and torque. And key points of this chapter is moment of inertia, radius of gyration, angular momentum, and torque. And learning outcomes. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain moment of inertia and its application, explain radius of gyration, explain angular momentum and its application, explain torque and its application. At first, we are going to learn about angular quantities. In left side of the picture, you observe to circle, and in purely rotational motion, all points on the object move in circle around the axis of rotation O. The radius of the circle and the radius of the circle is R. All points on the straight line drawn through the axis move through the same angle in the same time. The angle is theta, and if the length is L and it is a circular arc, then we can write the equation, that is theta is equal to L by R, that is based on trigonometry. And angular quantities, at first topic is angular displacement. That is a object start from this initial point and ended to this point. And at first we have angular quantity like theta 1, and after the displacement we have the quantity theta 2, and total angular displacement is del theta is equal to theta 2 minus theta 1. The average angular velocity is defined as the total angular displacement divided by time, that is omega is equal to del theta divided by del t. Here omega is angular velocity, del theta is angular displacement, and del t is time. And the angular acceleration is the rate at which the angular velocity changes with time. Here we have the equation alpha is equal to del omega by del t, and we can read this equation as the rate of change of angular velocity is called acceleration, and every point on a rotating body has an angular velocity omega and a linear velocity v, and we have the equation v is equal to r omega, and they are related. Here v is the velocity of the particle and omega is the angular velocity of the particle in circular way. Here r is the radius, and uh, from the point P, the object moves in circular direction, and here the angle theta is angular displacement. Observe this diagram. Here, at first, we have the point at the point A, the velocity is Va, and at the point V, the velocity is Vv, and the change of velocity is Vv minus Va. Here, the radius of the point for the point A is Ra, and for the point B, the radius is Rv, and here the angular velocity in circular direction is omega. Therefore, the objects faster from the uh, axis of rotation will move faster. And angular quantities, if the angular velocity of a rotating object changes, it has a tangential acceleration. Here the tangential acceleration is a10, and we have an acceleration in towards the center, and that is centripetal acceleration. Even if the angular velocity is constant, each point on the object has an centripetal acceleration, and we have the equation a10 is equal to r alpha. Here a10 is tangential acceleration, r is the radius of the circle, and alpha is the angular acceleration. And we have the equation ar is equal to ar is centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration is equal to v square by r, and previously we know that v is equal to omega. By putting this value on there, we have the equation v is equal to omega and r omega whole square divided by r. And finally, for centripetal acceleration, we have the equation ar is equal to omega square r. Here the relation between linear and rotational quantities follow this table. And here at first we have a linear displacement x, linear velocity v, and tangential acceleration or linear acceleration is a10. And for this term, for rotational quantities are for angular displacement or rotational displacement, we have for the displacement for rotation is theta, and rotational velocity or angular velocity is omega, and angular acceleration is alpha. And finally, uh, we can relate the linear quantities and angular quantities or rotational quantities, and we have the equation, the relation between linear and rotational quantities, that is x is equal to r theta, v is equal to r omega, and a10 is equal to r alpha. The frequency is the number of complete revolution per second. Here, frequency are measured in hertz, and we have the equation f is equal to omega by 2 pi. The period is the time one revolution takes is 1 revolve per second or 1 cycle per second, and we have for the time period we have the equation t is equal to 1 by f, and f is equal to omega by 2 pi. For constant angular acceleration, the equation of motion for constant angular acceleration are the same as those for linear motion, with the substitution of the angular quantities for the linear ones. For angular quantities, we have this equation, and for linear quantities, we have this equation. Previously in SSC, you have learned about linear quantities, and we are going to relate between linear quantities and angular quantities here. At first, observe this linear equation, and all of this equation is known to you, that is v is equal to v naught plus at, x is equal to v naught t plus half at square, v square equal to v naught square plus 2ax, v bar is equal to v plus v naught divided by 2. And for angular quantities, we can write this equation r omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t. Here, previously we learned that for angular velocity we have omega, for angular acceleration we have alpha, and time is the quantity that doesn't change for linear or angular quantities. And we get the equation by comparing with linear quantities. Then we have the equation omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t, theta is equal to omega naught t plus half alpha t square, omega square is equal to omega naught square plus 2 alpha theta, and omega bar is equal to omega plus omega naught divided by 2. We can write this equation by comparing with linear quantities. And here we have some other equation for rotational motion or for angular quantities. For mass in linear way, for mass we introduce the term, for mass the term is m, and for rotational motion for angular quantities the term is moment of inertia, that is I. And for Newton's second law, we have the equation F is equal to ma, and for rotational motion the equation will be tau is equal to I alpha. For momentum, P is equal to mv, and for rotational motion we have the equation L is equal to I omega. For work we have, for linear motion, the equation is W is equal to Fd. For rotational motion the equation is W is equal to tau theta. For kinetic energy we have previously the equation is half mv square. For rotational motion now we have the equation half I omega square. And for power the equation is Fv. For rotational motion the equation for power is tau omega. In previous slide we have introduced a term moment of inertia. Here the definition of moment of inertia is given. Moment of inertia is called angular mass, and it is the inertia of a rotating body with respect to its rotation. It is a rotating body's resistance to angular acceleration or deceleration equal to the product of mass and the square of its perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. Here we have two information, that is, at first we said that that is angular mass, and it is equal to the product of mass and the square of its perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. And we have another term, new term, that is radius of gyration. We have the definition here. Radius of gyration is defined as the distance from the axis of rotation to the point where the total mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated, so that the moment of inertia about the axis may remain the same. Simply, gyration is the distribution of the components of an object. Here, for radius of gyration, we have a condition, that is the we concentrated the mass, and here the distance from the axis of rotation to a point where the total mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated, so that the moment of inertia is about the axis may remain the same. Here important condition is moment of inertia will remain same, and the total mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated in a point, and for radius of gyration the distance from the axis of rotation to the point where the total mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated, and moment of inertia will not change for this body. And observe this diagram. Here we have so many correlation for moment of inertia with other terms, like here the equation I is equal to mr square, and motion of inertia is nothing but the mass distribution. And motion of inertia of common objects, we have two theorem, for parallel axis theorem and perpendicular axis theorem, and we can derive many equation for various quantity, various object like rod, hoop, cylinder, sphere, and we have with the help of moment of inertia, uh, we ha- we may derive some equation for rotational kinetic energy, angular momentum, and conservation of angular momentum. And for rotational motion, we have rotational linear parallels, and for Newton's second law, uh, for the rotation, we have the equation L is equal to I omega and torque is equal to I alpha. And for angular acceleration, uh, and there are many more terms that we can relate with moment of inertia. All this term we are going to declare and describe in our next slides. At first, the equation for moment of inertia, that is I is equal to summation of mi ri square. Uh, Previously, we have learned about moment of inertia. That from the definition, we know that moment of inertia uh, is the product of mass and the distance from the axis. Uh, for every single particles of the body, we have the equation mi ri square. Here I is equal to I from 1 uh, to the times n, and here I is the iteration from iteration 1 to from iteration n times, and we have the equation I is equal to mi ri square. For moment of inertia, uh, we uh, we can write the very equation I is equal to mi ri square, and if we describe this with the help of this diagram, look at this diagram, and here we have different masses for M1, M2, M3, M4, and we have many distance like R1, R2, R3, and R4. And for the particle M1, we have the radial distance R1, and we have moment of inertia. We can write the moment of inertia for first particle is m1 r1 square, and for second particle we can write the moment of inertia is m2 r2 square, and for third particle and so on. We can write all these equations, and if we sum all these quantities, and we can write the final equation, that is I is equal to summation of mi ri square. Now we are going to derive equation for uniform rod and its and here the axis in its midpoint. Uh, Here we have the equation for uh, uniform rod, and if the axis is in midpoint, we have the equation that is I is equal to m by l, uh, some integration of minus l by 2 to plus l by 2 l square dl, and if we integrate l square dl, we have we can write that is l cube by 3, and the condition here we have the limit from minus l by 2 to plus l by 2, and after putting these limiting values to l cube by 3, we have uh, the we can write at first we put the upper limit, next we put minus and the lower limit, that is l cube by 8, and for the value minus we can write the for double minus we can write the value is plus l cube by 8, and finally we got the m by 3l into 2l cube by 8, and after calculating we can write the equation 1 by 12 mr square, sorry 1 by 12 ml square. Where does moment of inertia originate? Number one, angular acceleration is proportional to torque. Number two, this corresponds to Newton's laws for translational motion, where force is replaced by torque, and angular acceleration takes place for linear acceleration. In a linear case, the acceleration is proportional to the force and inversely proportional to the mass. From Newton's first law of motion says a body maintains the current state of motion unless acted upon by an external force. The measure of the inertia is the linear motion, is the mass of the system, and its angular counterpart is the so-called moment of inertia. The moment of inertia of a body is not only related to its mass but also the distribution of mass. Here the important thing is the moment of inertia of a body is not only related to its mass but also the distribution of the mass throughout the body. So two bodies of the same mass may possess different moment of inertia. It appears in the relationship for the dynamics of rotational motion. The moment of inertia must be specified with respect to the chosen axis of rotation. For a point mass, the moment of inertia is just the mass times the square of the perpendicular distance to the rotational axis, and the point for the point mass, the relation becomes the basis for the all other moments of inertia, since any object can be built from a collection of point masses. Here the relationship of formulas. Previously we have the equation F is equal to ma. Now we can write the equation is torque is equal to Fr, and here we have a direct relation between angular acceleration and applied torque. The quantity mr square represent the rotational inertia of the particles of a certain mass rotating in a circle of radius r about a fixed point. And common moment of inertia, the moment of inertia of a system describe how mass is distributed around the rotating object. And here we have different objects like solid cylinder or disk, uh, and the axis in its mid towards its center. We have the equation for moment of inertia I is equal to half mr square, and if the object is like hope about symmetry axis, we we have the equation I is equal to mr square. And for solid sphere we have the equation I is equal to 2 by 5 mr square for rod, and if the axis in towards the center, we have the equation I is equal to 1 by 12 mr square. This equation previously we have derived. And for solid cylinder, and uh, if the axis towards the central diameter, we have the equation I is equal to 1 by 4 mr square plus 1 by 12 ml square. And the consider the object is like hope about, and the axis towards the diameter, then we can derive the equation I is equal to 1 by 2 of mr square. We didn't derive all this equation, uh, but previously we derived only one equation for I is equal to 1 by 2 ml 1 by 12 ml square. And uh, for a rod, if we consider the axis to any end, we have the equation I is equal to 1 by 3 of ml square. Here we have different shape of object. From A to H, observe all these objects, and previously we have uh, shown you some of the equation for these shapes. Now try to recall the equation for these objects from A to S. You may pause the video and take some time. Okay, I'm showing you the result. That is for uh, for A to H, we have all this equation in our next slide. That is for moment of inertia of various shapes of solid. Here, the shape of the object is written here, and we have the equation for moment of inertia. All these equation. Number A, if the object is solid cylinder or disk of radius r, then we can derive the equation I is equal to 1 by 2 of mr square, and uh, uh, likewise we can derive all the other equation for different shapes. Uh, for number B, the shape is a hollow cylinder of radius r. For number C, the shape of the object is solid sphere of radius r. For number D, the shape is hollow sphere of radius r. For number E, the shape is rectangle rotating around an axis along one edge where the other edge has length r. For number F, the shape is rectangle with sides r1 and r2 rotating around a perpendicular axis through the center. For number G, the shape is the thin rod of length r rotating about its uh, middle point. And for number H, the shape is the thin rod of length r rotating about one end. For all condition, we have all these equation. You can relate the equation with diagram from this slide. Now you may take help from these uh, from the slide for different objects. We have all these term for moment of inertia. Now for rotational dynamics, torque and rotational inertia. The rotational inertia of an object depends not only on its mass distribution but also the location of the axis of rotation. Compare F and G, for example. Here, compare F for long uniform rod and length L for uh, long uniform rod and the length L. For F, we have the location of the axis is through center, and for G, we have the location of axis through one end. By comparing, we can write this equation. Actually, all these for your help for different shapes, uh, and we have the term for moment of inertia. For solving problem in rotational dynamics, we have several steps. Number one, draw a diagram. Number two, decide what the system comprises. Number three, draw a free body diagram of each object under consideration, including all the forces acting on it and where they act. Number four, find the axis of rotation, calculate the torques around it. Number five, apply Newton's second law of rotation. If the rotational inertia is not provided, you need to find it before proceeding with this step. Number six, apply Newton's second law for translation and other laws and principle as needed and solve this problem, and check your answer for units and corrected order of magnitude. These all are the steps for solving problems in rotational dynamics. Previously, we have discussed all these terms like angular displacement, angular velocity, angular acceleration, moment of inertia, and radius of gyration. These all are the angular quantities, and we have all these angular quantities for rotational motion. Now, which object will reach the bottom of the inclined inclined thrust. They have the same radius and are same masses. Observe this figure. We have two body. One is disk and another is a hoop. And which object will reach the bottom of the inclined thrust? For the disk, we have the moment of inertia is half mr square. For hoop, we have the equation mr square, and uh, by calculating a value of m and r, one can see the hoop has larger moment of inertia and therefore requires more energy to get it started. Uh, and the uh, we can conclude that the hoop will reach the bottom uh, of the inclined thrust, and uh, the uh, after calculating, we can say that the hoop has larger moment of inertia and therefore requires more energy to get started. Newton's second law for rotation is seen below as it is compared to the linear second law. Also, you can see how moment of inertia is used to compare linear and angular values of momentum, kinetic energy, and work. For linear term, we have the equation F is equal to ma. For angular term, we have the equation torque is equal to I alpha. And this is the equation for momentum, and this is the equation for kinetic energy, and this is the equation for uh, work energy. Rotational kinetic energy. An object rotating around an axis is said to have rotational kinetic energy. The equation to the right represents the kinetic energy of a rigid rotating object. The equation for kinetic energy of a rigid rotating object, that is E is equal to half I omega square. An object that rotates while its center of mass undergoes translational motion will have both translational and rotational kinetic energies. Therefore, the total kinetic energy of an object that rotates and moves in a linear direction is the sum of the rotational and translational kinetic energies. That is E is equal to half mv square plus half I omega square. If an object rolls down in an inclined and plane, and the potential energy is PE is converted to both rotational and translational kinetic energies. But if an object slides down an incline, all the potential energy is converted to kinetic energy. Observe this diagram. For disk and for hoop, we have this equation. So using the kinetic energy of equation with object will be moving the fastest as the bottom of the incline, or a sliding object with both these objects. Now think about it. Work done by torque. Work done on an object rotating about a fixed axis, such as a pulley, can be written in angular quantities, that is W is equal to Fr or Fr del theta. Since torque is equal to Rf, then we can write W is equal to torque del theta. For power, we have the equation W divided by del T, and for W we have the equation tau del theta divided by del T, and we know del theta by del T is omega, that is angular velocity, and finally we have the equation for power is R omega. Angular momentum and its conservation. in a like manner, the linear momentum p is equal to mv has a rotational along, and uh, it is called angular momentum L for an object rotating about a fixed axis. It is defined as L is equal to I omega. For Newton's second law of rotation can also be written as torque is equal to del L divided by del T. What is the radius of gyration formula? That is denoted by K, and we have the explanation here. For torque, consider that we have a force to the point A, that is Fa, and to the point B, that is Fb, and the radius for the point B is Rb, and for the point A the radius is Ra, and we can apply force to the point Fb and to the point Fa. For Fb we have the radius Rb, and for Fa we have the radius Ra. To make an object start rotating, a force is needed. The position and the direction of the force matter as well. The perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation to the line along which the force acts is called lever arm. Observe these diagrams. Uh, by observing this diagram, we can say that a long lever arm is very helpful in rotating objects. We we have a graph. We have a figure in the point denoted in A. We can apply a force Fa, Fc, and Fd. And if we apply a force Fc, that is the line of action of force Fc, uh, then we have the radial distance for this force is Rc. For Fa, we have the radial distance Ra, and for Fc, we have the radial distance Rc. With the help of this diagram, we can say that for Fa, that is more uh, easy to move this uh, move this diagram. Here, the lever arm for Fa is the distance from the knob to the hinge. The lever arm for Fd is 0, and the lever arm for Fc that is shown in diagram B. From this, we can say that for Fd we cannot rotate this lever arm, and for Fa we have more radial distance, then we can uh, move this lever arm, and for Fc comparably we have to apply much force in the point Fc, and for Fa that is more easier. For Fd we cannot rotate this arm by applying the force Fd. For torque, uh, here we if we apply the force in the point, that is the point of application of force, and the angle is theta, and the distance is uh, perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation, uh, then we can write for the for torque. The torque is defined as the term torque is equal to Rf. Uh, that is, torque is proportional to the perpendicular distance, and torque is proportional to the force F. And if the radial distance is small, then we have to apply a small force to rotate this, and if the radial distance is much, then we get much torque with the help of uh, the radial distance is higher. That is, torque is proportional to the radial distance, and torque is proportional to the applied force F. Rotational dynamics and torque and rotational inertia. Previously, we know the equation is F is equal to ma, and for rotational inertia, we have the equation torque is equal to mr square alpha. And if we apply force F to the mass m, and here r is the radial distance from the center, and if we apply force F, then we can uh, we we can have this circular way for rotational motion. This is for a single point mass. What about the extended object? As an angular acceleration is the same for the whole object, we can write the equation torque is equal to mr square alpha. That is summation for applied for uh, extended object. For point mass or point object, we have the equation torque is equal to mr square alpha. And for extended object, we have the equation torque is equal to summation of mr square alpha. The law of conservation of angular momentum. Angular momentum is an important concept in physics because under certain conditions is a conserved quantity. We can see if the net torque on an object is zero, then the sum of the torque equals to zero. That is, L doesn't change. This is the law of conservation of angular momentum for a rotating object. The total angular momentum of a rotating object remain constant if the net torque acting on it is zero. The main point is if net torque is zero, then total angular momentum will remain conserved. Rotational dynamics or torque and rotational inertia. We have at first we have the equation L is equal I is equal to summation of m r squared. The quantity moment of inertia is called the rotational inertia of an object. The distribution of mass of the matter. Here, these two objects have same mass, but one of one on the left has a greater rotational inertia, as so much of its mass is far from the axis of rotation. The kinetic energy of a rotational object is given by E k is equal to half mv square. By substituting the rotational quantities, we find the rotational kinetic energy can be written a object that has both translational and rotational motion also has both translational and rotational kinetic energy, and we have this equation for uh, rotational kinetic energy, and uh, we have the total kinetic energy, that is k is equal to half m v square plus half I omega square. Here v is the velocity for the point center of mass, and I is the moment of inertia, that is ICM, that is I is concentrated in a point, and that is center of mass of any object. And for this object we have the equation, we have moment of inertia ICM. Rotational kinetic energy, when using conservation of energy, both rotational and translational kinetic energy must be taken into account. We have uh, some some objects for, like hope, empty can, and solid cylinder or D shell, and sphere like marble or box, that is sliding object. And inertia they have, if the h is higher, then we have the inertia is higher. And all these objects have the same potential energy at the top, but the time it takes them to get down, the incline depends on how much rotational uh, quantity they have. And angular momentum and its conservation, in analogy with linear momentum, we can define angular momentum L. We can uh, then write the total torque as being the rate of change of angular momentum. If the net torque on an object is zero, the total angular momentum is constant, that is L is equal to I omega. And If net torque is 0 and total momentum, angular momentum will remain conserved, that is I omega is equal to I naught omega naught is equal to constant. That is the conservation of angular momentum. For angular momentum and its conservation, if I is large, then omega is small. If I is small, then omega is large. And we have the application for conservation of momentum here. Therefore, system that can change their rotational inertia through internal forces will also change their rate of rotation. Observe this diagram. And vector nature of angular quantities, uh, we circulate in this way, and we have the angular velocity in that way. The angular velocity vector points along the axis of rotation. Its direction is found using a right hand rule. Vector nature of angular quantities, there is axis, and he circulates along the way, and the radial distance is r, and his velocity is v. Here there is the center of mass. If L of the person is greater, then L of the person is greater, then L of the platform is lower. If the kinetic angular momentum of the person is greater, then the angular momentum or the platform uh, will decrease with the increase of uh, angular momentum of the person. And angular acceleration and angular momentum vectors also point along the axis of rotation. Summary of the chapter 4. Angles are measured in radians. A whole circle is 2 pi radians. Angular velocity is the rate of change of angular position. Angular acceleration is the rate of change of angular velocity. And angular velocity and acceleration can be related to the linear velocity and acceleration. The frequency is the number of full revolutions per second. The period is the inverse of the frequency, that is t is equal to 1 by f. And homework for you: observe the picture and answer following question. Write two uses of Newton's laws of motion. There is any difference in parallel axis and perpendicular axis theorem? Explain. If the axis is the middle of the rectangular body ABCD, then find out the moment of inertia of the body which is parallel to its breadth. That is number C. And for number D, if the axis is stand as like the stem of the angular body ABCD, then find out the moment of inertia of the body which is parallel to its breadth. If it is varies to compare the answer C, then explain what is the reason is. Solve this question as homework for you. Do you have any question? I think you may have some question. And at last, uh, you have to be conscious about coronavirus and the symptom, and if there is contagious, and we have to take some preventive measures for coronavirus. And I would like to thank you all for joining us.